hide under the snake. Oh. Where? Right there. Oh, I see him. Here he comes. Here he comes.
You're listening to the Roost Podcast, brought to you by Buckeye Bowhunter. And now your hosts, Josh Grund and John Shiner.
What are you sending me?
A little video.
Of? Something in your front yard?
No, my buddy from work setting cameras, ran into a friend that maybe we should worry about too.
Oh! Where's he at?
Pennsylvania.
Timber Rattler? Oh, God, dude.
Ooh, is right.
Don't make me think about that.
It paid off, though. He had his potential target buck walk through this week.
Really?
So,
all right, so does that make you want to get, like, snake boots or something for down there?
No, but I don't know if ignorance is bliss or be prepared. I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
That would suck, dude. Could you imagine going down there, driving all the way down there, like your first evening, you just take off into the woods and then just, well, bam!
Dude, uncool.
John, I just got bit by a rattlesnake.
Not cool.
What do we do? Oh my God, that would suck.
No, thank you.
All right. Well, we're recording. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been another little while. Man, life is so busy. So we apologize for not recording for the last, it's probably been a month. Turkey season's been over forever.
Yeah. Welcome back. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, so the last time we recorded, you were getting ready to go on a turkey hunt. That's right. You had one more hunt left. Yep. And you had some pretty cool encounters like the week before that. Yeah. But today, we just want to, I think we're just going to kind of skim through the rest of our turkey season because we promised you guys that. But I think, everybody, me and John, we're starting to get that bug. It's about almost halfway through June here pretty soon. And then, we got literally a month and a half before we're climbing a tree.
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm behind.
Yes,
what?
So behind.
Well, why should I feel that way, right?
But yeah, I know. It's
going by really fast.
I've been getting it. You got me into this freaking dumb game golf this summer too, and I've been doing that a lot, which has been taking a lot of energy and time. So, it's about time to switch gears. But let's. So we want to talk about that a little bit. Or talk about the end of our turkey season a little bit, and then I want to talk about this summer preparation for our first trip. We're going down to Kentucky opening weekend, and what our plans are to get ready for that, and maybe what we want to focus on during that trip. What we've learned from last year, kind of pull some things together, and then maybe talk about our expectations. So, if you're cool with that.
Absolutely. I know we've mentioned it before on prior podcasts, but, every year we say that we make a list, right? And the list just is never ending. It's forever not accomplished.
Yep.
And today we're going to start that list.
Yep.
And get it going. Chapter 1 of how our list is going to start.
You know what I will say has been different for me this year? So I feel like the last 5 to 8 years, I have been doing nothing but every summer it's changing a lot of stuff, buying new gear, buying a new stand, buying a new bow, doing this, doing that, getting the newest this, getting the newest that. And this year I have not had a single urge to go out and do that rash decision buying
Yeah.
thing. Like, I haven't wanted to buy anything because I think, honestly, I feel like I'm really happy with the setup I have, the mobile setup, my pack, my bow, like everything. It's like, and I think there's something to say for not changing stuff so much and getting used to a certain system. And I'm kind of excited to just run the same system back this year. But that's been really different. Like, usually every summer I'm like itching to, drop some cash on a new tree stand or a new, platform or something. I haven't had that this year. I haven't felt like that.
Since you mentioned it, I feel like I'm in a similar boat. It's interesting that, you brought it up, and trying to think. I haven't had any urges. We've taken on the big things. How are we going to get mobile? Check. Tree stands, check. The bow, the arrow setup. And we've covered a lot of that. And
The
I
boots,
think we should.
the camo, the
Yeah.
clothes, like I think.
I
think
feel like
we-
since we left last year and wrapped up the season, I could have kept going.
Oh yeah.
I wanted the season to be fired back up in a month
Yep.
and just keep rocking and rolling.
Yep.
Very exciting that we're getting close.
I know.
It's coming
man.
back around.
I was just talking to you before we started recording. Me and Hannah went on a jog here this evening, and it had been raining all day. You probably saw it too, for like the last few hours, and it stopped, and it's real muggy. And we were running down in the national park here, and deer trails everywhere. It just felt like early season Kentucky, and I'm like, the whole time I'm running, I'm like looking out in the woods, like, oh, I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it tickling the back of my neck. So, but before we get into that, let's talk about turkey season. I know it's freaking July, but we owe it to you guys, the listeners, to kind of tell you how we finished out our turkey season. Do you want me? I don't think I ever talked about my Ohio bird.
No. I know my half of the story is going to be short and sweet.
Yeah, I'll keep mine short, and then I think you got 2 hunts to talk about. So, pretty much it was, we came back from Kentucky. I had shot a bird, that first trip, opening weekend, that Monday or whatever. And then the very next weekend was the start of Ohio season, the 22nd, I think, like something like that. And I went out to the Frank farm, and I get out there in the morning. And we've talked about this before, early season, or like, when you're hunting private parcels, the turkeys are either there or they're not. It could be a long day. And this year, the past few years, there hasn't been a lot of birds on the private that I hunt around here. But this year was very different. I mean, the place I was hunting, it's about 160 acres. It was packed with turkeys, gobblers galore, man. And I get back there, and there's a certain spot where all these birds really like to roost all the time. There's a big wetland that kind of runs through the property, and there's a big ridge top that kind of runs parallel to that wetland, and there's a big cluster of giant beech trees, and they love roosting in there. Well, it's just starting to crack daylight. I can barely see the ground, and I'm walking across this big bean field, and boom, gobble, 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 like, on my way in. So I know where they're at. I hear them gobbling, and they're just fired up, man. And I cross this swamp, get down into this spot, probably 85 yards from where these birds are gobbling. And John, when I tell you, you kind of experienced it. We'll talk about the hunt I brought you on later, but I haven't heard gobbling like this in a very long time. There was probably 7 or 8 different gobblers, maybe Jake's in there too. I mean, just gobbling from every direction, dude, just over and over and over again. It was the most gobbling I've heard for the first 45 minutes of daylight in 10 years. Crazy, dude. I was so fired up, and I thought for sure, oh, these birds are going to fly right down into me. I called a few times. They cut me off. I called a couple times. They cut me off. Got quiet for a while. Well, they kept gobbling. I'm like, dude, they're going to fly down and they're going to come right into me. Well, this little spot I'm in, I'm kind of trapped with property lines. So I can't really get to like a really good spot where I could cut these birds off. And it's kind of hard to call them up through where I'm at just because it is pretty thick in there. But I've done it before. But these birds kind of did. And we've kind of, I kind of had something click this year. Like, oh, this is a pattern that they tend to do a lot. Flew down and they just walked the top of this ridge out, and I'm kind of down in the bottom close to the swamp, but I could see these birds walking the side of the ridge, and they kind of circle out around me. And when they flew down, they got kind of quiet. I heard a couple gobbles, every once in a while, and then about 8:30, it just got quiet, and I'm sitting in the woods. I'm like, man, I cannot believe that didn't work out. They must have had hens or something, I'm thinking. And this is where hanging out till 8:30, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock really pays off. Started raining a little bit. It was a really light drizzle. And so I stand up and I start working my way back out towards the truck because there's a whole nother chunk. I'm like, I might just swing around through there, call a few times, and then probably jump in the truck and get out of here. So I'm headed back across the swamp, and I hear a gobble. And it's kind of straight back towards where my truck is. And so I sneak up to the edge of this bean field, and I can see birds in the woods, in the rain, clear across the bean field in the woods. This is early spring, so nothing's really greened up or anything too much yet. So I can see into the woods a little ways, but I can see these just black blobs in there just kind of strutting, and they weren't really going anywhere. So I sat there for a while. I called a few times. They weren't really listening to me or, paying attention. They would gobble, but they would never gobble at me. So I knew they were probably with a hen or with a few hens. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to make a crazy move. I'm going to drop down along the bean field away from where these birds are. So if this bean field's a rectangle, they're at the southeast corner and I'm on the west edge. So I walk up the west edge towards the north and I cut across towards the east, and then I start working my way south along the east edge, keeping all these trees and stuff between me and last place I saw these birds. And I'm going real slow, and I'm listening for gobbles, not hearing anything. Well, there's a bunch of big, hay bales, old hay bales that have been sitting in the woods, just on the edge of the wood line for 10 years, sitting right there, just rotting away. And I knew, those hay bales were probably about 40, 50 yards from where the last place I saw those birds. So I'm like, I need to just sneak up and get as close to those hay bales as I can, because at some point, one of those birds is going to pop out into the corner of this field, and I'll have a 40-yard shot or something maybe. So that's what I'm thinking, and I'm just literally crawling up the edge of this tree line, slow as I can, just waiting to find any movement. Get all the way up to
and you've yet to call to them.
I haven't called, yeah.
Sneaking up on them.
Yeah, because I don't want to, you don't want to call when you're in the wide open like that. If a bird happens to just pop out, 70 yards, I'm kind of screwed.
Give up your location, right?
Exactly, especially with that little 410, I got to be pretty close. But so I get up to where these hay bales are, and there's a big tree right in front of them. So I'm like, I'm just going to get up to this tree, and I'm just going to stand up right behind it. And as I do that, I start peeking around, and I just catch movement. And there's freaking Tom, 50, 60 yards into the woods. And they're all just kind of meandering around in the same spot where I could see them from across the field. They hadn't moved. So essentially, I just kind of kneel down behind this tree, and I call, 3 or 4 times. No gobbles. It's quiet. And I'm sitting there for a little bit. I'm kind of scared to peek my head out again. Since I called, maybe they're looking this way. So I just sit there, and I'm sitting there, and I catch movement. There's an old tractor path that comes out that southeast corner and goes down into where those birds were. And I see 2 jakes cross that tractor path at about 70 yards. So I'm like, okay, they're moving to the west out in front of me. So I call again, and I'm waiting, and then I see a big tom pop out down in the bottom about 70 yards. And I could see him, and he's just feeding, not paying attention to me whatsoever. So I call a couple more times, and I could see him put his head up, and then he'd go back to feeding. And then he kind of disappeared on me. So I'm like sitting there waiting. I'm like, man, this bird's just going to probably follow those jakes, and, who knows where they're going to go. And I'm waiting and waiting. And so I look back to the left side of the tree to see if there are any more turkeys. And then I literally, when I did that, I turned back, and there's 2 toms at 25 yards at the top of the hill, just pops out right in front of me, and boom, blasted one of them. It was that quick, man.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was in the rain.
Half a day in Ohio.
Yep. He was an ugly, wet bird, man. But it was a fun hunt. It was fun getting to kind of put a little, make a big move on him like that.
Yeah.
And, I was pumped. But, in Ohio, you get one bird. So it was over, like that. Over. And I ended up, because it was over so quick, I ended up making another trip down to Kentucky, and I ended up shooting another bird down there. Yeah.
Yeah, we covered that.
Yeah, I think we did talk about that. But that was a pretty fun hunt too. But yeah, so I tagged out in Ohio and Kentucky. I had a pretty freaking good year, man. I was pretty happy with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that Ohio bird I killed, that was a big bird. He had a big, fat, beard on him, some 1-inch spurs.
Wow.
So I was pretty happy about it. But yeah, about 2 weeks later, I think, was it 2 weekends later after that hunt? I think I brought you out to the Frank farm because I was like, John, there's so many freaking birds out here. We got to give it a try. And we pretty much did the same thing like that morning that I did opening morning. We went into the same spot like at the break of dawn. And
I think we did pretty good. We got up super early.
Yep.
We snuck into the same spot. You mentioned that, hey, they're all over this ridge. And sure enough, we're walking in the dark, and it starts to break a little bit of light, and pow, pow, gobble, gobble, gobble. And they lit up the ridge. It was wild.
Yeah, it was kind of the same. Yeah, super intense.
We snuck in,
forever.
Sat down, and they just kept gobbling, and it was something that I've yet to experience the intensity of. I mean, I felt like I was at like a stadium.
The first time me and you ever went hunting together was kind of like that.
Oh, it was, yeah.
We
weren't out on the roost. We were walking around.
Yes, we were. Daylight. Yes, we were.
So all these birds were roosted up, and it made me feel like this ridge was in front of us. We're down in the swamp. We're like looking up at the ridge. It felt like we were at, a major league stadium, and they were doing great.
Yeah,
and like they would just gobble all the way down.
Yeah.
We looked at each other like, what is like? We're in it. This is great.
Yeah, dude.
Great decision. But I know we were hanging out, and out of nowhere, a hen flew right down onto us.
Oh, yeah, dude. I forgot about that. Landed in our lap.
Landed in our lap.
Had no idea we were there. Which I don't understand, because it was pretty light out when we would have walked under her. She must have been in a tree where she just couldn't see that, and
I don't know.
Or something. Yeah.
She landed.
That's pretty cool.
15 feet from where we were sitting on the trees.
Yeah. She caught us pretty quick. She was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, she landed and turned around and was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I gotta get out of here.
She ended up burning us because all the toms flew down and they were working our way. We were calling, and, they were responding to us, and we looked at each other. Heck, I almost envisioned me carrying one out, Yep. But that hen flew down, and she, turned around, saw us, and worked her way over to them. And I think it almost hurt us.
Oh, yeah. I think so, too. I think
the birds were coming and expecting a hen, and they got the hen. She walked right over to them.
Yep.
Granted, there was a lot of brush in front of us. It was going to be a close quarter shot. It wasn't like I was going to reach out to 50 and take a poke at one. We were looking at 20 yards and in.
Yep.
And it was going to be fast. But I think that hen ruined it for us. The toms got what they wanted, and they kept going, despite us calling. That's okay. They
got quiet for a little bit, and they'd gobble again, and I'd call, and they'd gobble, and then they wouldn't come in. Something about that spot down in there. Like, I killed a bird right there once a long time ago, but I think it's like gotten a little thick. It's like this little knob next to the big ridge and between the big ridge and the swamp, and it's like surrounded by some really thick stuff, but it kind of opens up right where we were sitting. And I've called a bird up through. There's like a couple deer trails that coming in there up one of them deer trails.
That's where this guy came from.
Yep, exactly.
Right off that trail.
Yep. And I've called a bird up that trail before and killed him, but man, the last few years they did the same thing, man. Gobble, 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 gobble. Up on that ridge, they'll fly down, they'll work down the ridge, and then they'll cross on the neighboring property to the north up to the east. Like, the bird I shot opening weekend, I believe, was roosted up there and had made that big loop. I think that's just a loop that they like to make a lot.
Yeah.
But
so we had to make the decision, right?
Yeah.
They were working off, we were calling, they were not responding. They were not interested in walking through that super thick, swampy area. We had to make a move. And it was definitely the right decision.
It was pretty crazy.
We backed out the way we came, and there's a whole bunch of Phragmites in that swamp. Yep. So we've got good cover between where we think the birds are and where we're at. So we're backtracking our steps, moving pretty good. Mm-hmm. Because, you've hunted this farm a lot. I've hunted it a couple of times. There's a swampy meadow.
Yep.
It's really wet, tall grass, but the grass isn't super high, maybe waist high.
Yeah.
With this Phragmites patch, and if some of the folks don't know what Phragmites is, think of a similar wetland plant to cattails.
Yeah, bigger, taller cattails. Yeah.
Taller, yeah.
Fluffy tops.
That's right, yeah. So, yeah, we back out, and we're peeking around the corner, looking to see where they were going, and I spotted one of them.
Yeah.
Just through a little gap, and I go, Josh, dude, they're making their way over to the field. We got to go.
I didn't see him. You like take off running to the
I go,
corner.
we got to go now.
There's a big chunk of willows up in that corner, and they went through this little gap, and they were behind the willows. Yep. And I'm like, go, I guess. I don't know. Yep. You took off running up to this big willow tree.
So I saw him at maybe, I don't know, what would you call that? 120, 130 yards.
Yeah, probably.
Across this little grassy meadow. And like you said, there was a patch of willow trees. So I had a patch of willow trees that's maybe 60 yards by 40 yards, like a little patch. You can't see through it. So as soon as I saw that tom go through a window, get behind that, I just ran. I tried to make that distance up, cut it in half. There was a big cottonwood tree up next to where these willows ended and an ag field starts. So that bird's wrapping around and going to pop out in the edge of the ag. So I book it and beeline it up to that cottonwood and just take a knee and just wait. And you're like hanging out behind me, trying to keep up. What am I doing?
Yeah. You get up behind that tree. I remember I'm like walking. I'm like, what do I do? I like stay up with him? Do I stay back? And then like I ended up seeing him like kind of through the willows just a little bit. I could just see something moving. I'm like, that's him. I just dropped to my knee probably, 65, 70 yards behind you?
Yep.
Did I call?
Yep. You did not.
I think I did. No? Maybe I didn't.
No.
Maybe I didn't.
So I got up to, like I said, this cottonwood, which had maybe 20 yards before the ag field started,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw him wrap around and kind of pop out. You know what you did call?
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
I saw him
why.
come out, and he was just kind of fluffing his wings, hanging out. And I remember turning around and kind of giving you hand gestures. Get down, get down, get down. He's right there.
Yeah.
And he's probably sitting at 70, 80. And I want to say I made kind of a call a little bit call, and he called a couple of times, and his head popped up, and he was looking our way, and then he just started fanning out.
It was the most beautiful thing I think I've seen in the turkey woods. Just like the sun coming up,
Yeah.
like fog, very
Yep.
like just beautiful. And he's out in the middle of this cut bean field, just full strut back and forth.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
So he was strutting. He'd strut a little bit, then stop and poke his head up, strut a little bit, poke his head up, kind of looking around. And I'm just waiting, a little bit farther, a little bit farther. I'm doing my mental yardage sticks. I'm like, if he gets to this point, maybe I could take a poke at him. And he ended up working his way into right about that area. And I could tell he was getting disinterested. He's like, where is she? Where is she? I don't see anything. And I could see him just losing interest. So at that point, I'm starting to think in my head, I'm going to have to make a decision here soon. Either he comes in or he's going to bail. And he kind of looked one last time and started to turn away. And then he popped his head up and looked back. And I could kind of feel it, like, this is his last look. So I just set that gun down. I was kneeling next to this tree behind it, and I squeezed one off. And he just flapped really hard and took 3 jumps and pow, flew.
Yep.
And flew across the field. Old Trusty didn't roll him.
Broke my heart, dude. Broke my heart.
Brutal.
After the rough Kentucky misses that me and Bryce had, and then to watch you miss that one after how crazy of a hunt and how beautiful, and it was just an awesome situation.
It was set up. It was right there. To make a long story short, we walked it off. Kind of at the edge of my range.
Yeah, may have gotten a little trigger happy there.
Yeah,
but in your defense, it's so hard. Like deer are one thing, you see a mature buck out there, your eyes kind of know how big a mature buck is,
Yeah.
and you can. But like judging yardage in an open field, a turkey is something your eyes aren't really used to, right? You're used to shooting a bird at 35, 20 yards, something like that in the woods, and. Yeah, to be honest, like when I was watching him, I couldn't decide. I was like, dude, is he at like 80 or is he at 40 from John? I was like I was doing that in my head too. And I don't know, I probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah, so, it wasn't totally discouraging.
No, you were in really good spirits after that. I thought you were going to be just bummed, but you were like, you literally turned around and you're like, oh, that was awesome though.
It was awesome.
I was like,
the plan worked, making a huge move. When you go turkey hunting, you're like, you always envision a moment where you're like, I'm going to, grab my gun and run through the woods,
Yep.
And it's meaningful.
Yep.
And I've never really, had that where, I got to make this 100 yards up now, sprinting until, this hunt. And I'm like, I literally have to sprint 100 yards through this grass and get to a spot before he gets there.
Yep.
And it,
because there was going to be no calling him down into that swampy meadow. He wasn't coming down. He was going to sit right up there. So you had to get to the edge or as close as you could get.
Yeah, I know. Looking back, we were kind of recapping it just between us, and we're like, man, we got to talk about this on the podcast, because there was a takeaway that we had that, in the moment overtook us, but I think going forward, we will know this lesson. We got two of us standing side by side. When a situation comes up like this where I got to make a move, and we talked about this last time, but if I would have made my move up to the willows, or I'm sorry, up to that cottonwood, I think having you trail behind me was a mistake.
I should have just stayed right in that Phragmite.
Yep. I think you stay back an extra 150 yards.
Yep.
Similar to what happened to us in Kentucky. Maybe it would have pulled him in a little bit extra.
I firmly believe that if I would have stayed back there and just kept calling, he would have broke in at some point. Like if I would have called and he gobbled or he just started strutting, I could see him. And then I stopped calling, he would have broke and come working towards that edge as long as he didn't pick you out, for sure.
Yep.
I would almost bet money on it, man. So
Yep.
yeah, we made a mistake. Like I was torn between like, do I get close to John so I can film him, or do I, and it's just the heat of the moment, man. You make bad decisions. Like
yeah,
it's part
that's
of it.
okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was bummed out about it. Obviously I wanted to get him, but hey, it didn't work out. So yeah, that ended that day. We tried to get back on him. We heard birds, but nothing else really worked out.
Mm-hmm.
To which I moved on to my Ashtabula trip. On my private piece, I'll make this relatively quick. I've hunted a bunch out there, killed a bunch of birds, but the way it works out for me is it's towards the end of the year. The northeast zone of Ohio is late.
Yes.
It marries up with Pennsylvania's turkey season. So the majority of Ohio is done, but we're hanging out till Memorial Day. So
It's so late. I feel
it's
like.
so late. But typically, it's Memorial Day weekend, and I'll have my family out. So I'm allowed to turkey hunt, but typically when the kids are sleeping, the kids stay up late and they sleep in. So dear old dad can wake up super early and get out in the turkey woods. So that's what I did. We had the family out. I would have a couple hours each morning. And I was on birds. Let's see, 2 of the 4 nights that I was there, or 2 of the 4 hunts I was there. Pretty cool. First one, I've got a swamp that splits the back third of the property. And I've typically had the most success, on the swamp edge. Because I think we've talked about this.
Your property, now that you say that, your property kind of sets up for hunting just like the Frank Farm. But the Frank Farm's like a micro version of that,
Yeah. So I ended up getting out there really early, didn't hear anything, but kind of worked my way back to the swamp and ended up hearing a bird. And I played some calling games with him. He was right on the edge, so I couldn't get across to him. And we ended up calling back and forth, and he just would not commit to crossing that swamp. Yeah. And I've actually gotten pictures of them crossing the swamp. Jumping on a log, pitching off, and gliding across. So I ended up staying on my side, in the hopes that it's such a late bit in the season, he'd be more willing to do something that maybe he wouldn't normally want to do.
Yep.
So I was hoping for that. Didn't work out. He worked off. That ended my next day. Went back on my last hunt. Last hour, up in the northeast zone. I'm like, I'm gonna beat this guy. If he's over there, I'm gonna beat him to it. So I ended up crossing the swamp, pitch black. I had to wake up 2 hours extra early. Snuck across. It's a rough walk for me. It's pretty much walking a beaver dam that's
200 yards long, foot wide.
like a foot wide.
You
and it's
misstep,
muddy.
you're gonna like be stabbed by chewed off beaver sticks on your right, or step wrong on the left, and you're gonna be over your head in water, dude.
Yep. Yeah. So it's a gnarly little bit of walk. But I got across. I got around. Got over there early. I was pretty psyched because it was still dark. So I knew I had time. So I just posted up on the log and kind of kicked back and relaxed. Uh, Ended up, it turned light. No gobbles. I didn't hear a gobble in the morning. And I'm like, that's a bummer.
Yeah, that is.
Last day, last hoorah. So I'm like, well, I'm already over here. Let's do a little deer scouting. I ended up, just working my way around, just seeing what I could see. I faintly heard a gow, 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 way off, maybe 500-600 yards off the property that my property and the property I had permission on. And I'm like, oh, all right, I'm back in the game. Let's do this. So I got up as close as I could, and just listened and called, and I knew he couldn't hear me. So I ended up getting up to the back of my property, which opens up into a big field. And I ended up, walking to the edge of it and just kind of calling and broadcast as loud as I could. Pulled out the copper and let it wail just as loud as I could. Ended up having no response. Pretty discouraging. So I'm like, you know what? He stopped gobbling. It's getting to be, later in the morning. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go back. I'm done. Sat down. I'm like, let me eat a little snack, hang out for a minute. I probably hung out for maybe 45 minutes, an hour. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. So be it. Started walking out, make it maybe 80 yards. Gobble, gobble, gobble. I was like, whoa, he's back. No way.
We go. Here
we go. I go, now I could hear him. He's maybe 150 yards up the field, off the property on the backside. I'm like, I'm back in action, man. I could hear it. So he was looking. So I'm like, all right, how can I haven't called in a minute, So I'm like, all right, what do I do to get him to get in these woods? Because that's what I need. So I ended up scooting down as far as I could down to the swamp and letting it rip, And he would respond, go, 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 go. I'm like, all right, sweet. Now, since I called as far as I could away from him, I had to try and cut the distance. So I cut maybe 65 yards between where I called and where I set it up.
That's a good move. That's an elite move, John.
I was trying to, I'm like, I'm not going to mess this up. This is my last shot. It's got to work. So I moved to get away from him, called. He responded. All right, cool. And then I scooted up to try and cut the distance between me and him where I think he'd pop out.
Yeah.
And I scooted up, sat down, and I got a little I was like, I can't push it too far. But again, I remember, we were talking, and you're like, you want to be maybe on the edge of where it gets thick to make them come and see you. So I was kind of playing that in my head that, I want to cut the distance, but I also want to be pretty hidden to make him come search. Ended up sitting down. Dude, I sat down and it took him all of 35 minutes to cover 100 yards.
Taking his time.
And 80 of it was just wide open ag field. And I just sat, and in my mind, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I really want to call.
Could you see him coming?
No.
No.
So the way it works is from the swamp, it gradually goes up to the field and then it flattens out.
Okay.
So as soon as he crosses out of the field and gets into the woods, it starts to pitch down. To which I'm sitting down there maybe 50 yards. Because I didn't know if I could call, and I didn't know how much I could get away with getting up to the field.
Yeah.
Do I call? And he beelines it. And I'm still trying to cut that distance. So I had to play that in my head.
Mm-hmm.
What could I get away with? I ended up, like I said, getting 60 yards. And there was maybe 50 yards from the field. So he's coming, and I'm debating. I'm like, do I want to call or do I stay quiet? And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not saying anything. No calling, no nothing. Because I was almost worried that if I were to call, he'd hang up in the field and be like, all right, come on in.
Well, especially because of the move you made, now he thinks you're coming to him, right?
Correct.
You called further back, now you're closer. He's gonna sit back and be like, oh, she's on her way.
She's on her way.
Yep.
Waiting it out.
I'm gonna sit out in this big open field and show off and strut my stuff.
Yep. So in the end, I hang tight, played hard to get. And soon enough, he ended up, it was 2 Toms and 2 Jakes.
Oh, wow.
So so once they got to the edge of the field, I only heard one, loud gobble. Then once they got to the edge of the field, I heard them all. They started gobble, gobble. They would set each other off. And I could hear, the gaggly little Jake. I'm like, okay. Yeah, real like squeaky, raspy little voice. They ended up coming over. And of course, the 2 Jakes lead the way. Just do over the, looking around, looking for where I'm at. So I had to freeze. They literally walked maybe 10 feet from me.
No way. Okay.
Yeah, I was stuck, and I could see the 2 Toms come over the top, and they're fluffing up. I'm like, oh, I got him. I got one of them. They're working their way into me, and they're working their way into me. But I'm like, I just got to be chill. Don't let these Jakes burn me, and just let them work in. He worked into maybe, I don't know, 50. But I was sitting there perfect. There was some branches in between me and him. And I just couldn't get like a clean poke at him. But I'm like, all right, he's right there. He ends up looking, fluffing up, showing off. Then he becomes disinterested. You could tell, not fluffing up as much, poking around in the ground. So he starts working perpendicular to me. And I'm like, uh-oh, I'm going to have to make a move. And it was really awkward. So I was set up for where he was at, but I had too much in between me. He starts working perpendicular. I ended up
He's moving to your right.
He's moving to my right.
So
correct.
That's the way you don't want him to move. Because it's hard to swing your gun that way, right?
My weak side. Yeah. So he's working the wrong way, which I didn't think he'd go, but why not?
That's what they do.
It makes it hard on John.
That's what they do. Yeah.
So he's going my weak side, and now it's like, okay, he's gonna hit a little opening. But I got this Jake right in front of me. Luckily, the Jake puts his head, behind a decent tree, and dude, I like roll. So imagine me sitting on the ground, my knee up, gun sitting on my knee, and when I think all their heads are behind trees, I end up rolling on my right side, like I'm going to bed.
Yep.
All the way over. And I'm like, the gun is sideways. And then the Jake pops out, and he's like 10 feet from me, just looking right over top of me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. The Tom ends up working into a window, and I'm like, all right, no better time now, because the second Tom behind him had already given up. And he was walking away.
Oh, man.
And I think the Tom that was closest to me was, interested if he could see something. But he's like, all right, the other one's leaving. I'm going with him. And I let one fly.
Deja vu.
Again.
Oh,
he
no.
He just takes off.
No. Ugh.
Was not my year for turkeys.
Well, you're due for a good season, man. Next year, I feel like it's going to all come together for you. What do you think if you had a decoy?
Yeah, I think if I had a decoy, I would have been in business for sure.
I think that's what I want to say. If I can be, honesty moment, a critique.
Yeah, yeah,
You need to invest in a good set of decoys next year.
yeah.
I think you
I don't
need like
disagree.
not them plastic foam crappy ones that are like $20
Yeah,
rolled up at Fin Fern Feather. I'm talking get yourself a really nice, spend $200 on a Jake and a hen, and bring them down to Kentucky. You probably won't use them, but to have with you in Ashtabula for sure.
yeah. No, I think that would have been. I think it would have worked, but I didn't take it. And
Yeah.
again, I'm not, super upset. I don't know. Maybe I am a little bit upset.
I mean, dude, you're right there. That's progress, right? That's
Yeah, no, for
progress.
sure.
So
But
calling
that,
in
so that,
birds.
yeah, so that concluded my Ohio season. Couple of Hail Marys at the end,
Well,
but hey, I had
it is
fun.
what it is. But
Yeah,
all right, well, let's move forward. Turkey season's done, guys. We're not gonna. I know it's July. We're done talking about turkey hunting. We won't talk about
done,
it until
done.
after deer season here. But let's move into talking about some bow hunting, man. So we're planning on going to Kentucky. Our trip is when opening weekend this year. Opening day in Kentucky is like the 6th or the 7th, right?
Okay.
So we have a month and a half to prepare. And before this podcast, I asked you to come with 5 things that you want to talk about. I got 5 things too, and I think it'll be cool to just kind of go back and forth of
Yeah,
what we want to do. We might have the same list. I don't know. I don't know what you wrote, but let's talk about the 5 things that we want to focus on over the next month and a half, and then maybe a couple items that we want to focus on during our trip.
yeah,
Based on
yeah,
what we've learned the last few years. I
yeah.
don't know.
No, like you said, the summer has caught us by storm,
Yes,
and when you say a month and a half, we got some work to do.
that's going to go quick, John.
Yeah, yeah. This needs to be a main focus. I am excited about it. I'm rejuvenated. It's a new year.
It's a new year.
It's
New
a new
year,
fall.
baby. Yep.
So, you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead. What's your number one thing that you got to get done? Check off the list this summer.
So I got a month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Month and a half. And I think what I learned from turkey season, I need to bring it back. And the number one is getting my fitness to a point where I will not be suffering. I noticed I put in some work, and we talked about it on this podcast.
Yep.
Stairs, cardio.
Yep.
That unbelievably was a game changer for down in Kentucky.
Oh yeah.
I noticed I hit a couple of hills that last year when we were bow hunting, dude, they were a chore. They were difficult. I was huffing and puffing. I put a little bit of effort in before turkey season, knowing that, I gotta get a little better. I gotta lose a little bit of pounds, but get my fitness up. I need my legs to be strong. I need to get up this hill and get on. That's definitely my number one, because I know there was a couple of times last year, I suffered going up those hills. And maybe I was a little bit lackadaisical, stomping on sticks and just.
Yeah. When you get tired.
I get tired. I'm like, I just got to get to the top, and that's it. I just got to get to the top.
Yep.
I don't care how I get up there.
Not
I got to
not
get to the top.
so. Working out was my number 2. So we got the same thing
Yeah.
there.
What,
And
what type of working out are you looking at?
so I'm looking at just building my cardio up and being able to, like, really the one thing that I want to focus on is being able to recover quicker, right? So
Okay.
doing like the run me and Hannah just went on. We're not running the whole time. We're running really hard for like 2.5, 3 minutes, and then we're walking for like 5 minutes, and then running again, trying to bring my heart rate up real fast, and then recover before I bring it up again, as opposed to, because I'm trying to emulate what we do down there, right? You bring your heart rate up for 5 minutes while you're walking up a hill, and then I want to be able to recover real quick and, not be beat when I'm trying to climb a tree 20 feet in the air with a one stick, or something like that. And like you said,
sure.
it makes a huge difference on your focus too, right? If you're exhausted, you're out of breath, you're struggling, you're taking you're stopping every 50, 70 yards to like take a break, you're probably not really in it. You're not in the game. You're not paying attention to sign that you're passing. You're not paying attention to, how loud you're being or how quiet you're being or whatever. So, and just keeping that mental focus, I think mentally and physically is going to be really important. So stairs, I'll probably try to incorporate that coming up.
They're a game changer. I love them.
Yeah, well, they suck.
They're not while doing them. But the what you get out of them.
Yep, absolutely.
Because really, there were a couple of hills that I struggled on. I incorporated stairs into kind of my little workout thing, and really, it was only a half hour. Of stairs every other day.
Makes a huge difference.
Oh, you could just tell in your legs how your legs change after 2 weeks of doing that.
We're not young pups anymore. We're in our late 30s. Like Bryce, he just, on a whim, rolled out of bed and he's like, let's go climb some hills because he's 27 years old.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go that way, Bryce. All right, sure. So, yeah, working
What's
on.
your number one?
My number one is shooting my bow.
Ooh.
That
was my number 3.
Yeah, so in years past, it depends on the year, man. Sometimes I get that bug and I shoot all summer. And then sometimes I don't pull my bow out till, 3 weeks before deer season starts. I want to have, if I'm being 100% transparent with you, John, I have zero confidence of killing a deer past 30 yards. Like, okay. And I don't think I ever have. Like, I don't shoot deer past 30 yards. 30 yards and in is and really, dude, every deer I have on my wall was within 20 yards when I killed it. Okay. And that's hunting small farms, areas where I'm very positive I know where this deer is going to be and setting up specifically for where that buck's going to stand. I know where I'm probably going to shoot that deer most of the time. Kentucky's different. It's big, it's open, and I would like to have that confidence to shoot my bow out to 40 yards, at a deer, down a hill, up a hill. So, and that's the other thing that's really goofy, right? When you get in a tree in Kentucky on the side of a hill, shooting 40 yards down a hill is a lot different. Feels a lot different, seems a lot different than shooting 40 yards on a flat surface at a target or shooting 40 yards in Ohio even, So I think I want to, focus on shooting my bow, get really comfortable again, get back to doing some 3D shoots this summer. I got a big backyard. I got a basement. There's no reason I shouldn't be shooting my bow pretty consistently. But I want to focus on shooting elevation shots up and down.
Okay.
The new house we live in, we got a deck. I got about 15 feet, maybe 20 feet of elevation down to my backyard, so I can get a little bit there.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, there's a public archery range just down the road from us that has like towers too that go up probably 20 feet. So shooting from those two and just getting used to, shooting from an elevated position and try to emulate what we're going to run into in Kentucky a little more and be comfortable with it. Because I do think, at some point you're going to want to take a 40-yard poke at a deer on public land down there. And I want to have the confidence to do it. Because right now I don't. That buck that I ran into last year during the rut with you on that property.
Ooh. Yeah.
He was about 40 yards, and when I was looking at that buck, there was no way I would have drew my bow back. He needed to come, another 20 yards before I felt comfortable shooting at him. And, say what you want, like I just have never had that confidence, so I want to focus on shooting long. So that's the other thing I'm going to try to do this summer is when I'm practicing, I want to be shooting out to like 60, maybe 70 yards on a consistent basis.
You want to elaborate on what, like, your regiment, how are you going to build your regiment on how many arrows a day? Difference.
Yeah, so I think, like, I don't want to commit to, like, I'm going to shoot every day because I know that's not going to happen, but
a realistic goal.
Yeah, a realistic goal for me, I think, is easily, I work from home. I think on my lunch breaks, I'm going to take one shot every day, right? Just go out back. This is the shot. If I miss it, I miss it. If I make it, I make it. You know what I mean? Throw the target out there, roll it out. I got one of those Reinhardts that just kind of roll, just throw it out there. Wherever it lands, hit it with the rangefinder, take my one shot, and kind of practice that like you only got one shot sort of thing. If you blow it, you got to wait till tomorrow to make a good shot. And then, on the weekends, shoot a little bit more, actually have a half-hour session in the basement, work on form, go to a 3D shoot.
I think there is something to say. So this is how I kind of did it last year, and I like the way I did it. And I'm going to maybe tweak it, and maybe coming up on the year, we could discuss this again. But
sure.
I think I want to be, because this is, one of my things that I want to summer shoot, and I want to have complete confidence. I don't want to think about my bow. I don't want to think, man, when I was practicing, I was a little bit left or I was a little bit high. I don't want any of that this year.
Yep.
Nope. I want to grab my bow and I want to go. And I have no worries. So utter confidence. I think the way I'm going to get there, I think my setup's good. I think my arrows are good. I think maybe it's me a little bit. Some of those little flyers are me. And I think the way I'm going to approach this summer in my shooting arrows is I think I'm going to have a number. I think I want to do 50 arrows a week.
Okay.
Or more.
Sure.
And I think I want to do volume first. I want to be heavy up front. So this next couple of weeks, the next 3 weeks, I want to be at 50 or more. If I can get 100 in, great. And the reason I say that is I've picked up my bow in 7-8 months. All my stabilizer muscles, all of my, technique is lost.
Gone, yeah.
I don't have any of that muscle memory. So I think I want to front load my summer shooting and build myself up.
Yeah.
I want to be able to effortlessly pull that bow back. I know I haven't picked up my bow. I'm going to pick it up tomorrow. And I bet you that first time pulling it back, it's going to be like, I'm like the Tin Man.
That's a little heavier than I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to build that muscle up, build up that muscle memory, and almost bow conditioning with my own body. And then as the season gets closer, kind of do what you're talking about and having focused shots. 1 a day, 2 a day.
No, I kind of like that. I might take that on myself. That's really good.
Yeah, because it's wild. I did this last year. I shot a bunch of arrows early on. My left shoulder, which is my lead, that was sore. My forearm was sore. It wasn't because I was snapping my arm. It's just because, dude, my body's not used to it.
Oh, there you are. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Break up?
Yeah, it just broke up a little bit. Start over from I remember last summer.
Yeah, so I remember last summer, the first time I picked up the bow and I did something similar and I kind of noticed, ooh, this kind of works, which is why I want to front load. But my left arm, my left wrist, my left forearm, definitely my right arm. You know, that's the one I'm pulling the string back with. But everything was sore.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't want to be in the stand where my body's not perfectly conditioned to just pull that thing back super slow
And not even realize you're doing it. Yep.
yeah
Exactly.
yeah I
Yep.
want to have ease.
No, that's great, man. I think
That
that's
was
a
my
really
number 3.
I think
Yeah.
that's a really good way to go about it. And like I said, I might do that. Like, I think there's something to say too, like for different types of practices is like in my basement, I think I might, maybe shoot 20 arrows a night where I'm not really worried about hitting a target and I'm just almost close your
right.
eyes and just draw back and focus on your form. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And just
yeah.
getting that muscle memory back. And then, during lunch, go
Hold-
out and shoot a couple and actually try to hit the target. That's,
and I want to challenge myself to be able to hold that bow back.
yeah.
I
There
think
you go.
maybe what we should do, saying it here first. I think at some point we'll give it a couple of weeks, but see who can hold the bow the longest.
Oh, I like that.
Huh?
I like that.
Drawn back, can, maybe we'll give each other, hold it back a minute.
Okay.
Or
Well,
hold it back-
let's just do
start at 30 seconds.
let's
You
do
know,
this
can you
right
hold
now,
it?
John. Let's just put a wager on this. 3 weeks from today,
Okay.
whoever can hold it the longest, has to buy steak dinners at the river on the way down to Kentucky.
Ooh, I like it.
Okay.
I like it. Yeah.
Or whoever holds it the longest gets their dinner paid for, I should say.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I think that's important.
Yeah. This absolutely, man. There's been a lot of deer in my past where I've had to hold it pretty long, so having that, yeah, let's do that. I'm down.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. So for my number 3, so we talked about our bow, we talked about working out. What was your number 1?
Number 1 was fitness. I just started off.
What was number 2?
Number 2, I wrote down for when we're down in Kentucky, I want to go the extra, and this kind of piggybacks off of the fitness, but I want to go the extra mile now that I've gotten a better feel for where we're hunting.
Okay, hold that thought, because are the rest of yours in Kentucky?
No, I've got one more summer one.
All right, let's hit the summer one. So my number 3 is pull out the one stick.
Ah, it's a good one.
I need to go,
That's
and I
a
think
good
this helped me out a lot last year too. I don't want to be John the first time I ever hunt with it is in the morning and climb a tree on a real deer hunt. So I think pulling that one stick out and practicing, maybe, at least 2 or 3 times, maybe 4 times before we go down to Kentucky, just to get that muscle memory back. And that's the other thing, build them shoulder muscles, them chest muscles, them forearms, and that grip strength. And, before we go down there, just so it's easy, you don't got to think about it. And get that practice in too. So that was my number 3. I want climbing with that one stick to be a no-brainer. I don't want to have to worry about any of that. I want to be able to do it with ease in the dark.
And really, every year, and I think this goes for everybody, your first sit is by far your ugliest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You forget something. You're
Yep.
like, oh, I thought I brought this. I
Yep.
thought it was in this pocket. Nope. Messed it up.
Yep.
doing these trial runs, especially with the saddle and one stick.
Yep.
Um,
That's a good point. I might as well pack my bag, take my bow, and just
do a full sit,
do a real,
or, climb and
a real climb, and make sure I got everything and have it all in every place that I want it to be in. And so you're not looking for stuff when you're in the tree. Oh, what did I do with my carabiner? Where's my rangefinder? All that kind of stuff,
Yep,
So
absolutely.
that's a good point. That's a good point. Have that all dialed in well before we jump in the car and head down there.
Yeah, otherwise we're going to be borrowing or driving to the
Yeah, and here's
something up.
You said your first hunt is always, not
Right.
always, but a lot of times it's a shit show, right? You're just
You're loud.
But really, it's your best chance to kill a buck. That first hunt is not one that you want to waste or ding something, metal on metal, or make it drop something, or forget your release, which I've done before, or you don't want to mess up, because really that is your best chance to connect with the big buck, is that first time you go in there. So being dialed in and being a freaking killer is very important. So yeah, that was my number 3.
Yeah, that's really good. I just wrote it down. I'm adding it to my list.
Perfect.
My next one, something I want to accomplish for the summer, and this is really setting up for Ohio. I want to get 2 presets set and ready to go. These presets are not ones that I've ever had before. So I want 2 brand new ones in areas that I've never had a set in. And I actually want to sit them this upcoming season.
Do you know where those spots are? Do you have those in mind?
I've got 2 in mind. I've got one for an early set and the other one for like a rut set.
Okay.
Or a late October set.
Sweet. I love it.
One, my early season. So every year I throw up cameras and I get velvet bucks, and then I get, a week before the season opens, I got a big boy hanging around. And I felt like I've figured it out a little bit. I've got a little bit of a bedding area in the swamp by me. And I've maybe blown it out the first week. There's a bit of a grassy area. I don't jump in if I'm not explaining it well, but when I cross my swamp, I hit a big grassy area, and there's trails and stuff, all over the place. And actually, I was going after my target buck, and I don't know if it was him or not, but the first or second sit early season, I ended up bumping him out of there. He was bedded right in the grassy area that I typically go right through.
Yep.
I want that to be my early set. I want a camera in there so I can, justify them being there, which I'm very confident they will be. But I want, it's going to require a lot of trimming and a really low set. So the only tree I think we've shown, we looked at it together, Josh, when we were out there. The only tree that I'm going to get in is maybe, I don't know, the tree's maybe 25, 30 feet tall.
Yeah.
And I'm only going to be able to get up maybe 10 feet.
10, 12 feet, yeah. This is, for you guys who were listening earlier, the Beaver Dam. This is right at the other end of the Beaver Dam across the swamp. And, there's always big tracks crossing that Beaver Dam. The deer definitely use it a lot. And I'm sure those bucks are bedded there just because it sets up really good, because their back's to the water. They're probably sitting there on a, sitting there on a west wind, which is what we always get up there. So I think, that's a really good idea. And I love the one stick. I love the mobile hunting, but I've always said when you're hunting, you know, bucks on small properties, little locations, bedding areas, stuff like that. Like I have a farm that's pretty much all bedding area, and I think I hurt myself going in there and hanging a set in the morning or hanging a set in the evening a lot. If I would have, a permanent set or something like that, it'd be a lot easier to slip in and not make a lot of noise. So
Yep.
having a permanent set in there and being able to just sneak in the morning, a couple hours before light, before that buck gets in there, I think that's a fantastic idea, man.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
gonna be
And
it's gonna be goofy because you are gonna have to clear a lot though. So I would
yeah,
probably do it pretty soon, considering deer season's coming.
summertime set. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Um, second set that I want to get in is going to be for the rut. And for anybody listening, well, maybe I'm giving it away because we pointed it out in one of our last YouTube videos. The Doe Factory Trail.
yeah.
I think I need to get a preset hung in there, get a camera, because it was loaded with rubs last year.
Yep. Yeah.
I think we almost picked out the tree.
Yep.
And
you
I
definitely
think that one I'm specifically going to get really high.
Yeah.
I think that one's going to be a high one.
I think you sit there, John, for 2 days, like you will get a opportunity at a hammer. Like that's
Yep.
a badass little spot for the rut, for sure. Going right through the backside of that bedding area. Yeah. I love
Yep.
it. And there were, when we went in there you're talking about where we went in and picked up your doe, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was tore up, man. There were rubs on trees as big as my calves all through there.
Yep.
So,
So that's my last summer to do.
so my last summer to do, but kind of during the season too, during our trip down there, is continue to monitor trail cameras, right?
Yes.
So I've got some cameras out here in Ohio now. I have probably 5 more I need to put out at some point. We have, I think me and you counted, right? We got like 12 cameras down there.
Yeah. I think that's a separate podcast in itself.
Yeah, we'll talk about those in depth in a podcast. But so we have a few cell cameras, so we're kind of monitoring, some of the properties we plan on hunting down there right now. And I don't want to give too much away, but we do have a few pretty decent bucks on camera so far.
There's enough to get ultra excited to make sure that we check everything off our list.
Yes.
Get on down there and succeed.
Yes. So, but besides that, when we go down to Kentucky in early season, like you said, we'll talk a lot more about this in depth. But we have a lot of just card cameras down there too, in strategic locations, down in bottoms, on scrapes, areas where we think those bucks are dumping off of these ridge tops down into the bottoms in the evenings. And I kind of want to base a lot of our hunts while we're down there on going in with a card reader, with the stand on your back, bow in hand, and with the plan of I'm going to walk in here, I'm going to check this camera, and if I've had a buck on this camera in the last, 2-3 weeks, this is where I'm sitting, right? And then, see what happens, and then, do the same thing the next night, but going further to the next camera, up the draw. So that's
That
kind of
actually that exact thing is my number 5.
Is it really?
Yep.
Okay.
I worded it a little different. I go opening week. I want to make every second count. For example, do more scouting and set cameras that make sense and move cameras that aren't quite there.
Yeah.
Same mindset. So when we're down there, I'm going to put forth a good hunt in the morning, but I'm not expecting a big mature buck to be cruising opening week at noon
Yeah.
even 10 o'clock,
Yep.
when the temperature's starting to hit 88, 90 degrees.
Yep.
That's when I'm getting down, getting some hydration in me, and beating feet and
Yeah.
checking cameras. When I do go to check cameras, if nothing's there,
move it.
I'm refreshing it, maybe pulling the card, refreshing batteries, and I'm moving.
Yep.
Next drainage.
Yep.
And keep going and keep going.
I agree. Keep bouncing those cameras around. Maybe we don't get a big buck on camera while we're down there the first weekend, but you're going to, we think we have our cameras in some pretty good locations now. Definitely. Based on sign from last year, but stuff changes. And if you're walking in there early season, opening weekend, there's going to be a bunch of sign that wasn't there last year. You're going to find some new stuff that really piques your interest, and you're going to want to have a camera there. So moving those cameras around, being malleable and mobile in that sense, is just going to help us for next year in the future for early season, and also this fall during the rut if we end up going down there again. Having those cameras in better locations, just kind of, me and you, the places where we put our cameras up here on the properties we've been hunting for 15 years, we've kind of fine-tuned that over years of hunting. Like,
yeah,
I don't really have to even think about where I'm going to put my cameras on some of these farms, because I just know if I put a camera here and I get a big buck on here, like, I know how I'm going to hunt him. I know probably what he's doing based on what every big buck has ever done for the last 15 years on that property. So, we're in the very early stages of that in Kentucky, I think. And
definitely, but I can tell you from 2 years ago for you, me last year, this year coming in, I think there's going to be leaps and bounds.
I hope so.
Yeah, I know so. Just from the amount of work we put in. But again, when you think about it, how many hours do we even have in down there deer hunting?
Not a lot.
We don't even have 3 weeks of actual time.
I might have 3 weeks, but I might have a month.
You think?
Yeah, I might have a month, but that's it. So it takes years to figure out, especially a place like that down there. It's freaking huge, man. You could hunt your whole life. And never hunt the same tree.
Even with turkey from this last year, running into pressure and being forced to go to the next spot.
Yeah, finding new places constantly.
It's wild, man. Every new turn, you're like, this may work.
Yeah. That spot where I killed that turkey opening weekend down there. When I was back down there the second weekend that I went to Kentucky, I was walking that whole big ridge system down there, and I found a flat, like a bench system, that it's like an old logging trail, but it's not a logging trail anymore. And it was just scrape after scrape after scrape after scrape for like a half a mile. Tore up, dude. I marked it. So like, that's on a chunk that we don't really have any intel on. We've never deer hunted it, but like, I mean, one of us or somebody, I might want to go in there. It's a long walk, but it might be a really cool, say we're striking out everywhere else during the rut, and you got a last morning, hurrah. That might be a really cool spot to check out.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a lot of ground down there, man. A lot of ground, but we're figuring it out.
Yeah, definitely. And that's my last little note is going the extra mile now that have scouted some of the land. So that example is on the wildlife area.
Okay.
I think I started to figure this out last year when we were there, and we were trying that early season, and we were trying to get in on finding the bucks.
Yeah.
The acorns. The last day I was there, I got down too early and had a buck running the ridge right at me.
Yep.
So what I want to do leading into this is, now that I know these things, now that I know where the benches are at, where some of the points are at. Being smarter with how I get in there. So that goes back to some of the lessons learned from last year. My access. Now that I know what some of this access is, using that knowledge and being smart about how I get in and get out.
Being strategic.
It may be the long way, which sucks, but
most of the time it's going to be.
It's probably the right way.
Yep. Yeah.
Walking the shortest distance from point A to point B. Well, I got burnt last year doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I had a buck cut my tracks.
Yep.
When it was like, no. You know the right way to go. Just walk it. It's going to suck, but you know it.
Yeah.
Walk, So that's my last one.
The biggest lessons learned for me last year after our early season and our rut hunting down there, like, really was that it's doable. Like, it's not like a crazy shot. Like, it's doable.
Sure.
And that gives me a ton of confidence because, like, the first 2 years I was down there, man, it was like throwing darts at a chalkboard or at a dartboard, just like it's so big. It's no trail camera data. You don't know really the bucks that are down there. You're hunting spots that look good, but you never see anything. And just the fact that we were able to, put our eyes on some shooter bucks, right? I think that's gives me so much confidence that we're headed in the right direction and that it's doable
100%.
And that at some point, all this money, all this time, all these trips are going to pay off. You know what I mean? But for my last point, my fifth one was acorns. I just wrote acorns. I think, it's a kind of a shot in the dark because last year I was down there early. You came down actually like opening week, but you didn't hunt the first, 4 days of the season? You were down there that second weekend.
Yeah, I was like the second weekend. Yeah.
Yes. And by that second weekend, the acorns were dropping, the white oaks were dropping really well. And that's how you ran into that big buck that first morning. That's how we ran into that group of bucks the last evening we were there. Yep. That's how I shot my doe. Like acorns, I think. And if we can get down there, we know, based on all the scouting we did, we walked like 6 miles that for one day. We know where some of these trees are. We know where to look. I think that will be a very important aspect to focus in on. I think we need to, if we go down there opening weekend or we go down there the second weekend, we need to focus on where the acorns are dropping, whether it's the first tree in the forest or they're all dropping. Like, I think that's what we need to have a mindset. Focus on these acorns. Where are bucks bedded in relation to these acorns dropping? Are there rubs, around these acorns that are dropping, the first trees that are dropping, and get on sign like that? I think that's going to be our best bet. I think so many people, are going to be hunting those field edges where the beans are still green and stuff like that. But even by the time you came down there, all the beans were like yellow, and I think all the deer had switched to acorns and they were up on the tops of the ridges and stuff. So, maybe putting some boots on the ground, checking trail cameras, finding acorns again. So,
absolutely. And that's, utilizing your time wisely, right?
Yeah. It's hard to do in 4 days, but yeah.
It's tough, yeah.
So
that checks everything off my list.
Yeah, that's about it for me. So with that said, let's we'll finish this podcast off, but I just want to hear kind of like just that first trip we're going to make, early season. What's going to make that? What are your expectations for that? And driving home, what's going to make that trip a successful trip in your eyes? What are your expectations? And what's going to make that a successful trip?
I think I think my expectations, well, I'd love to come home with a deer this year.
Yes.
I think that's number one. I think a successful trip would be, and maybe this is low hanging fruit, but I'd like to think that getting pictures and validating that we're figuring it out would be huge. I think that would be a huge success for me and you. We took the leap of faith to put cameras out this year. And I'd like to think that where we put them were the right spots. We got some pictures. It makes sense why and when we're getting pictures. And having it click in our head that we're pushing the right buttons.
Starting to put a pattern together, yep.
Yeah, and understanding how the deer live down there.
Yep.
It's a totally different world for what I'm used to.
Yep.
If I could slowly start to grasp it, I think I'll make better decisions, and who knows? Maybe I'll get lucky and whack a good one, But I think those are the two things that I could walk away with being proud.
Yeah, I think I'm probably on the same page as you, just that we're making progress and we're moving forward and we're figuring it out. I think would make that a really successful trip. I don't want to go down there and be driving home and feel like it kicked our ass. Like, dude, we were never in the game. Like, what happened? Like, I don't want to feel like that at all. I want to feel like when we are on our way home, like, God, we were this close, I want to feel like that and feel like I'm in, like, every time I sit, I want to feel like, ooh, I got that feeling. Like, this feels good. Like, I feel like I'm in a good spot. It could happen. That's what I want. I think, I could say, like, I want to have an encounter with a decent buck or something like that, but, I don't want to, knock on wood, I don't want to jinx us or anything like that. So I think we're probably on the same page, right? It would be awesome to come home with a 140-inch velvet big woods buck, but I don't need that, I don't think, to feel like it was worth the trip. So
sure, absolutely.
Yeah. But I'm excited, man. I'm pumped.
Yeah, and it's a little bit earlier than what we're used to, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're usually waiting for end of September, 1st of October.
Yep. Hard-horned, bachelor groups are broken up. Like, yeah, it's a very different hunt than what we're used to. So,
yeah, I think we got a good start to our list. I think this list is going to grow exponentially through the rest of the year. It always does. Yeah, I think if we attack these couple of things, really check them off and be like, you know what, I really did this. We're going to walk into this season, our best foot forward.
Feeling confident. Exactly. Cool.
Of course, the first one on our list is the hardest. Yes.
Working out.
Fitness.
Yeah. That sucks, but we got to do it, man. And remember, 3 weeks, we're going to have we'll literally turn the podcast on and we'll both draw our bows back and we'll see who can go the longest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a nice free steak would taste pretty good on the way down there. But all right, well, let's end it there. I think our next podcast, let's dive into the specifics of our trail cameras, what we did down there, why we set them up where we did. We could almost literally go through our Onyx. We can make a list of each camera and just talk about the specifics of each one of those cameras instead of like a generalization. I think that would be kind of interesting to talk through. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. Do you have anything else you wanted to bring up or cover?
No, I think, even just my algorithm on YouTube is telling me and pointing me in the right direction, because I feel like every time I turn it on, it's deer related. My excitement is high. It's a proper motivation to work out. I need that personally. Working out, especially cardio, stairs. It's hard to do just to do.
Yes.
But with the proper motivation,
makes it a lot
out there.
Yeah, makes it a lot easier, that's for sure. And we're going to try to be more consistent with these guys. I literally just had a comment. I wish I could name drop the guy. He's got his own channel. Oh, I feel bad now. But said, keep going, guys. I think assuming like he thinks we quit because we haven't posted anything in a month. So, we're going to try to keep these more consistent. Usually me and John are trying to meet on Thursdays. So maybe that's another thing we can add to our list is, let's try to get at least 2 podcasts out a month before deer season starts. I think we can commit to every other Thursday. Don't you? I think we can.
I think we absolutely can, and that's going to keep our list accountable.
Yes, and we can keep in touch with what have you done? What have you done the last 2 weeks? You been doing what we talked about?
Throwing arrows. You better been throwing arrows.
So I think that'll be good. But all right, man, cool. Well, thanks for jumping on. Thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. And like I said, stay tuned for the next podcast because we're going to talk about in-depth trail camera tactics and all our cameras down there in Kentucky. And just get excited for deer season, guys.